Hi there again from your little brother in Johannesburg, reflecting on the 24th Sunday of Year B. Sometimes indeed we do need a high-impact multi-car pile-up before we're ready to admit anything, ready to recalibrate our views, our sensors and equipment. The battleship bearing down upon the rocks, mistaking the lighthouse for another ship, is an apt demonstration of the current urgent need of a paradigm shift. The blood of Christ is the antidote for the poison of sin, and as a healing agent makes holy to lead us towards reunion with the Bertha of the cosmos. Without this purification, our love is selfish. Our love is distorted through broken links in the chain of ancestors. This type of broken love will all too often focus on what St. Francis called selfish misery. It is this hurt, this suffering, that can so easily become fixated on the image of the God-man writhing in agony upon a hated implement of Roman torture and terror. This becomes thus our suffering also, but without the transformative work of the resurrection, becomes a spirituality stuck in the continuous moment of that eternal now of suffering, and endless replay of bloodied atonement. This theory of atonement has become the dominant thesis of how God saves since the teaching of St. Anselm. This has also become the dominant motif of our liturgy that is at the core of our formation of spirituality. We know that all suffering, all anger, all resentment that is not transformed by the act of resurrection will seek to pass on that suffering, anger, and resentment to others. Hurt people do hurt other people. Stuck in this moment of suffering and torture, we pass on the vengeful suffering and torture to others. And in some perverted way, these actions become justified in a skewed understanding of God as vengeful Father, demanding the blood of his innocent Son as payback for the sins of humanity's primogenitors. This is a proclamation of ongoing death, rather than the transformed people of the resurrection. This type of tortured spirituality naturally evolves into a toxic theology. The more you suffer on this earth, the more you're deserving of the kingdom hereafter. This immature, mimetic, and untransformed spirituality often hides behind a mask of piety that is, in reality, pietism. This pietism focuses on my own individual piety, my own individual holiness, and on separate individual practices. The longer the prayers and the more discomfort causes pain, the more worthy the prayers are. Sadly, yes, I have experienced many of these individuals hiding in our houses of formation and seminaries. And in the beautiful words of Aretha Franklin, with the apologies to Frank Sinatra, I did it my way. This way of seeing the goal of our lives focused on the self, rather than on the resurrected and glorified Christ, a statement of stoic intent, where each one of us is duly appointed a cross of death, to bear in humble and obedient imitation of Jesus' offering. What a bleak view of human journey, standing in such stark contrast to the teaching of Jesus, the proclamation of the good news. Jesus has done the work for us, and calls on us to follow him, to hold on to him, to unify ourselves with him as the resurrected and glorified, universal Christ the Redeemer. The cross of Christ will always be an image before us of God who chooses to be with the victim, who chooses to be at one with the scapegoat. But now we need a replacement of our dominant imagery from the staff of punishment that has so often paraded as propaganda before armies of death and destruction. Yes, we do form our lives in accordance with the images we select as standards. Let us therefore seek rather the dominant image of this universal Christ risen and glorified, who becomes for us the universal archetype that leads us from death to transformation and new life. This is the work of Christ who redeems, Christ who gives us back the true value of what it means to be fully human and to be fully alive. This is the work of Christ for all of us, not just for a select few, and most certainly not just for the self-righteous, pious ones who set themselves apart and have no need of any Redeemer. This is truly good news for us, good news worth celebrating in greatest joy and with gratitude. And may the Lord grant you his peace.